Okay. That's my girl Flo Millie's song. So y'all better go stream, all right? She's a dark-skinned rapper and she be spinning that shit in the studio, okay? Okay. But let's not get sidetracked, y'all. Welcome to the Barbie Life 2.0 podcast. My name is Shakira, aka Barbie 2.0. And yes, I call myself Barbie 2.0 because this Barbie is the upgraded version of the original Barbie. This Barbie is smart. This Barbie is educated. This Barbie is black.
Black. Oh my God.
And this Barbie is going to change the world, okay? Okay, thank you.
Period.
Most of you guys are from my TikTok, but if you are new here, again, my name is Shakira, aka Barbie 2.0, and I dedicate my page towards speaking up about issues in the Black community, such as colorism, texturism, and featureism, and any other issues that may pertain to the Black community. I've been through so much colorism and racism in my life as a dark-skinned girl in America who has went to PWIs for many years. So I'm super passionate about this issue. I'm very educated on it, and I'm honestly sick of like this occurring. And honestly, our community, we're very dismissive of the issues that go on in our community, and we're super loud when other people attack our community, but we're super quiet when we attack each other. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I know a lot of dark-skinned women are also sick and tired of it too. And we have been gaslighted for years. We have been dismissed for years. And I want to be the voice for the girls who are sick and tired of this shit. And I want to be the voice for the girls who are ready for this issue to improve and for this issue to, I don't know, just not happen anymore. Because who the fuck wants to be discriminating against your own race? Like, baby, come on now. Let's go. Let's not do that. Okay.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
But we are going to have some fun tonight. All right. I got my Jack Daniels bottle, even though it is definitely almost finished. Ooh. That was horrible. So first, I want to talk about the definition of colorism and kind of expand on that. But before I talk about the definition of colorism, I want to talk about the definition of racism, because I've noticed that many people are familiar with racism. And when you talk about colorism, people are extremely lost and don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But when you cut it down into racism terms, they suddenly understand. So the definition of racism is discrimination based on somebody's race. And in America and many other countries in the world, mainly Black people are oppressed from this issue, and the people who benefit from racism are white people. So colorism is a byproduct of racism, and it's discrimination based on somebody's skin tone, and it often happens within the same ethnic group. And so many people in the Black community are in denial about this issue, even though it's literally a worldwide issue. Like, it's not just an issue within the Black American community. It's an issue with the Jamaican community. It's an issue within the Chinese community, the Indian community. Like, it's a worldwide issue everywhere, okay? It's not just a Black American issue. So I find it bogus when people try to deny colorism or say it doesn't exist, or say, oh, you guys are just making up isms to fit your insecurities. And it's like, baby, this is, open your eyes, read a book, and let's wake up, okay? Thank you.
Go look up the history. Shit, don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that shit. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man.
But colorism is a systemic issue. However, it does affect many aspects of people's lives. It affects your dating life. It affects media, film, the music industry, representation, even your experience in the workplace. It affects that too. And I actually saw a study where they talked about colorism in the workplace. It says marginalized racial and ethnic groups from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and South Africa did a study, And they found that 51% of women from those groups have experienced racism in the workplace. But for women with darker skin tones, that can go as high as 69%. So it's funny to me when people say, oh, well, we're all black at the end of the day. To the white man, we're all black, so it doesn't matter. That's not true. That's actually not true. To the white man, they do view light-skinned people as the classy black person or the more acceptable black person compared to dark-skinned people. It's just true. If I was applying for a job at a white corporation and it was between me and a light-skinned girl and we both had the same qualifications, the light-skinned girl would have a higher chance of getting hired compared to me because my skin tone is not closer to white. And I think people don't understand that colorism is a system that benefits people whose skin tone is closer to white. So if your skin tone is lighter, that means your skin tone is closer to white. So you're going to benefit from this system. And I talked about the definition of racism in the beginning because every time we do talk about colorism, people are always like, oh, we're all black at the end of the day. Oh, like we all experience racism. Oh, so are you saying that I don't experience racism because I'm light skinned? And I think we need to understand, like, there's a key difference between racism and colorism. Yes, when it comes to racism, we all experience it if you're black. It doesn't matter if you are as light as Zendaya or if you are as dark as me, you are still going to experience racism regardless of your skin tone because racism affects the entire black race. However, when it comes to colorism, that is a system that benefits people whose skin tone is closer to white. So if you are lighter skinned, you are systemically going to benefit from this form of oppression. However, if you are darker skinned, you're not going to benefit from this form of oppression. So we need to understand that these are two separate issues. And when we talk about colorism, we're not taking away any experiences that you may have as a light skinned person who experiences racism. We're not saying that you're less black. We're not saying that you don't experience racism. We're just saying that your path is going to be a bit easier compared to your dark-skinned counterparts because we do live in a system that benefits people who are closer to a whiter skin tone. So while you will experience racism, you will benefit from colorism. So we need to stop confusing the two definitions and understand they're two separate issues. And when we talk about colorism, stop bringing up racism because you're taking away attention from the issue that we're talking about, which is colorism, which doesn't get enough attention already. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But I kind of want to talk about how colorism affects different aspects of your life. First, I want to talk about how it affects you in like movies and TV shows when it comes to representation. So I've noticed that like in the 90s, we had a lot more black TV shows compared to now. Like now, I can only think of 2 black TV shows that we have. But back then, we used to have so many, like too many to even count. And it's ridiculous how in the last 30 years, our representation when it comes to black TV shows have just like shrunk tremendously. And it's like, what is going on in Hollywood? Like, do y'all not, obviously y'all don't like us, but like, damn, like I want to see my people on TV more. Like, what's going on? Like, we used to have Martin, we used to have My Wife and Kids, we used to have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we used to have the Bernie Mac show. Like, now we just got Grownish and All American. That's it. And I mean, you could probably talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like the new one that came out, but that's it. Like, we used to have so many TV shows back then, and it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, you think we didn't know? You think we didn't notice Hollywood? Baby, we noticed. We noticed, and I want some answers. ASAP, no Rocky, okay?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
I have noticed that in a lot of black TV shows, especially in the 90s, they would perpetuate stereotypes about colorism in their TV shows when it came to representing the characters. So, for example, in the TV show Martin, there was a character who was Martin's girlfriend, and she was light skinned, and she was viewed as the classy black person. You know, she had a good job, always wearing suits. She wasn't really very ghetto or ratchet, and you know, she was viewed as desirable. You know what I'm saying? Martin loved her, and you know, she was viewed as the attractive girl in the show. And they also had another character, for example, and her name was Shanae. And actually, so Shanae was played by Martin. He put on a wig and he put on lipstick, and he was portraying a girl, even though Martin is a man in real life. And I noticed, like, again with Shanae, like, it was played by a man. So I felt like they were trying to put on this facade that, like, she was very masculine because it was a man playing her in the first place. And then, you know, she was very loud, she was very ghetto, she was very ratchet. None of the guys really found her attractive. They were always, like, you know, despised by her presence. And every time she would come around, they would just be like, ugh, like, ugh, like, I'm getting the ick right now. You know what I mean? And it was just funny how the way they represented a dark-skinned girl, you know, she was, you know, always the ghetto ratchet one, but the light-skinned girl was the classy, acceptable black person with a good job, and she was always wearing suits. And it's not just Martin, like, it's many different TV shows that I've seen do stuff like that. Like, even in TV shows today, for example, All American. If you look at all the main characters that are women, they're all light-skinned. Besides the one mom that's white, they're all light-skinned. Literally, they're all light skinned. And the ones who are dark skinned, they represent the typical stereotypes of a black woman. For example, Spencer's mom. Spencer's mom is a single mom. So, of course, the dark-skinned woman in the show is a single mom, and she's representing the strong, independent black woman. And then the other dark-skinned girl is a masculine lesbian. And if you notice, Coop's girlfriend is a light-skinned girl, and she's a feminine lesbian. And all the other black women in the show are light-skinned, and they're viewed as feminine and soft and classy, and they dress nice, and they're very articulate and well-spoken. There was a brown-skinned girl in that show too, Simone. And if you notice, like, Simone was the baby mom. So how is it that all the girls who are darker get the strong, independent black woman persona, or they get the masculine persona, or they get the baby mom story, but all the light-skinned girls, they get viewed as feminine and classy and desirable to all the guys? And even in shows like Grownish, I'm sorry, they're all light-skinned. Ryan Destiny was in like one episode, but like, girl,
girl, please.
The representation is not really given what it's supposed to, okay? And it's also in cartoon shows too. Like, I don't know if y'all remember Proud Family, and I love Proud Family, don't get me wrong. Like, I did used to watch that as a kid, but that was one of the biggest forms of colorism I've ever seen in a cartoon. Like, Penny Proud, she was a light-skinned girl, and, you know, she was always good at everything, very smart, and her family was very classy. I mean, the girl wore a little blazer to school every day, and, like, you know, she was always good at everything. All the guys desired her. She was very feminine as well, and her parents were also classy. Like, her dad always wore a tie and a suit. Her mom was always dressed classy. They were very articulate, and her best friend Dejanay was a dark-skinned girl, and she was literally ghetto as fuck and ratchet as hell, and her whole family was ghetto and ratchet. And, like, it was ridiculous the way they represented her, because she wasn't as articulate, she wasn't as intelligent as Penny Proud, and she was viewed as undesirable to all the guys. Like, all the guys would get the ick by her. Every time she would flirt with some of the characters, they would get the ick and be like, ew, no. And imagine being a little dark-skinned girl watching cartoons, and you're watching people who look like you get viewed as undesirable to all the guys, and get viewed as very ghetto and ratchet, and get viewed as the one who's not as intelligent or not good at everything compared to their light-skinned counterparts. That's something that gets installed in your brain as a young kid, and it follows you when you get older. And it's not good for dark-skinned young girls to watch that stuff, because it's like, damn, like, they're watching themselves be represented in the worst way possible. But we let these stuff slide because we don't talk about this issue enough, and a lot of people don't notice it. But I noticed it as a dark-skinned woman in America. I picked up on it, and honestly, like, I was like, damn, like, I didn't notice it when I was young, but as I grew up and I watched it, I noticed it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is heartbreaking. And I challenge you all to go watch Proud Family now and notice what I'm talking about when I say the difference between Penny Proud and Dejanay and how they're represented, because it's honestly crazy, it's sad, and it's ridiculous. And I don't fuck no.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. Hell no. I refuse. No.
When it comes to colorism and like representation and stuff, it's not just how they represent us, it's the amount of times we actually get put in the forefront of mainstream movies and media. Because if you notice, they don't really hire a lot of dark-skinned women for roles, and a lot of roles that are meant for dark-skinned women, they give it to light-skinned girls. And people like Zendaya have even admitted to this. Like, she said, like, you know, in the industry that I'm in, I benefit from colorism. And she's noticed that she's been offered roles that are meant for dark-skinned girls, and she's had to turn them down because she wants them to be filled with dark-skinned girls, because she knows Hollywood does not like hiring dark-skinned actresses. And it's really true when you think about it. Like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that's the first example I could think of. Remember Aunt Vivian and how she was dark skinned at first, and when they replaced her with a light skinned woman, and we were like 3 seasons in deep, guys. Like, at that point, like, we already got used to dark skinned Vivian, and y'all just switch it out with a light skinned girl who looks nothing like her and just think that we not gonna notice. Like, why couldn't you hire another dark-skinned actress to fill that role? Because I bet you if Aunt Vivian was originally light-skinned, she would never be replaced with a dark-skinned girl as an actress. I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen a light-skinned actress get replaced with a dark-skinned girl. But I've always seen a dark-skinned actress get replaced with a light-skinned actress. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the reasons why the woman who was playing Aunt Vivian left has nothing to do with colorism. I believe it was like personal reasons, but them replacing her with a light-skinned girl instead of them replacing her with a dark-skinned girl shows like the way Hollywood is so colorist. Even in My Wife and Kids, the sister in My Wife and Kids, she was originally dark-skinned. And obviously the reasons why that actress left was for personal reasons, but why not replace her with a dark-skinned girl? They replaced the sister with a light-skinned girl instead. Why? Because there are many dark-skinned actresses who could have filled that role. And this is what I'm saying. Like, they act like there's not enough people to fill those roles. There are many dark-skinned actresses out there who could have filled that role. And it's not even just replacing actresses. Like, there will be roles that are meant for dark-skinned women, and they'll give it to a light-skinned girl. Like, do y'all remember the Nina Simone movie? Like, Nina Simone, right? She was a real person, okay? And she was a jazz singer in the 1900s. And a big part of Nina Simone's life was the fact that she went through a lot of colorism, texturism, and featureism, because she was a dark-skinned girl who did not have features that fit the European beauty standard, okay? She had a very flat nose and, you know, a round face, and she had 4C hair, and she had dark skin. Like, she was pretty much my skin complexion. And that was a big part of her career path as well, and a big aspect of her life. So when they made a biopic to her story and the life of Nina Simone, they chose a light-skinned woman to play the role. A light-skinned woman who looks nothing like Nina Simone. Now, I'm not saying she had to be Nina Simone's clone, but they chose Zoe Saldana. Do you see the difference between Nina Simone and Zoe Saldana? Zoe is like 4 shades lighter than Nina Simone, and she does not have the same facial features as her either. And she doesn't even have 4C hair either. Her hair is like this wig. And you know what they did? They literally put makeup on Zoe that was like 4 shades darker than her regular complexion. And they put a prosthetic nose on her as well, so she could have a flat nose instead of a skinny pointy nose. And they made her wear an afro wig just so she could play the role. You mean to tell me you couldn't find a dark-skinned girl with 4C hair and a flat nose to play the role? Because I can name a couple. They're out there. They're not just like hiding in the shadows. They exist. So why choose Zoe to play the role? Because you don't want dark-skinned women to be in the industry that bad, having the limelight, so you choose a woman who's 4 shades lighter than her. And it's like, it's crazy how Nina Simone went through colorism, texturism, and featurism in her real life, and even in her death she goes through it in her biopic. If I was a light-skinned girl and somebody was like, yeah, like, you gotta play Nina Simone, I would have been like, the hell I will. The fuck? No. Like, no. Yeah, a lot of light-skinned actresses, they act like they can't say no to roles. You can say no, especially if it's not for you. Would they ever hire a white person to play a black person in a movie? Why is it that it's wrong for a white person to perform a role that's meant for a black person, but it's okay for a light-skinned person to perform a role that's meant for a dark-skinned person? That doesn't make any sense. Because we all know if there was a role that was meant for a black person and they gave it to a white person and started putting blackface on them, y'all would have an uproar and y'all would be mad as fuck and y'all would be screaming on the internet for days, for months. Like, even with The Hate U Give, The Hate U Give was originally a book, and this book was about police brutality, and it was shedding light on that issue. In the book, the main character was a dark-skinned girl who had an afro, and literally on the cover of the book, she's dark-skinned, like she's darker than me, but in the movie, they chose Amandla Stenberg, a light-skinned girl, and they put braids in her hair instead. And why do you think they did that? They wanted that message to be received by white people. And the best way for white people to receive a message so heavy as police brutality and racism, they had to have a light-skinned girl play that role, because they know if a dark-skinned girl with an afro played that role, white people would have missed the message and they would have just called her ghetto and ratchet and aggressive. But when it's a light-skinned girl, she's already viewed as the more acceptable black person and the more classy black person. So they're more inclined to be receptive of the message, and they're more inclined to watch the movie all the way through without assuming that she's ghetto or she's ratchet, and connecting with her more and understanding that she is just a black woman with emotions dealing with a very real issue. So when you guys say that, like, oh, to white people, we all look the same. No, we don't. Trust me.
It's true.
I don't know if you guys watched Hunger Games, but Hunger Games, the character Rue was played by the same actress from The Hate U Give, Amandla Stenberg. And Rue was supposed to be a dark-skinned girl. She was described as a dark-skinned girl in the book, but in the movie, she was light-skinned.
That's a damn shame.
And I'm not blaming the actress, because she was a very young girl at the time. So I'm not blaming you. Your parents probably like saw the casting and was like, girl, you just got to do this to start your career. So I'm not blaming you, even though I'm not going to lie. The Hate U Give, you were old enough to make that decision. But why did they choose a light-skinned woman to play that role instead of a dark-skinned girl? Like I said before, white people watch the Hunger Games. A lot of white people read the Hunger Games. I went to a PWI and every single white kid in my school had that book and they was reading that shit. So they were all going to watch that movie. They would have been more accepting of a light-skinned girl playing a black person in a movie that white people are watching compared to a dark-skinned girl playing a lead role in a movie. It's just as simple as that. I also want to talk about colorism in the rap industry. So colorism is very prominent in the rap industry, especially within the female rap industry. And this is probably the most noticeable form of colorism ever, even though you guys want to be in denial about it. But the amount of dark-skinned rappers that are super talented and beautiful and bring the visuals with their music videos and don't get nearly as much recognition compared to their light-skinned counterparts is crazy. Like, there are rappers like Flo Milli, Amaretta, Tink, Cash Doll, like, and these are rappers who are dark skinned and they write their own music. They rap very well. They bring the visuals when it comes to their music videos. And they don't get nearly as much recognition as their light-skinned counterparts like Ice Spice or Coi Leray or Lotto. I noticed that like their light-skinned counterparts in the industry, like, no offense, this is no hate towards them, but they get a lot more mainstream success compared to their dark-skinned counterparts, when sometimes they're not nearly as half talented compared to the dark-skinned girls in the industry. And it's really sad. Like Cash Doll, for example, I have yet to hear her song on the radio, and she's been spitting that shit for a while, and that girl is gorgeous. That girl is gorgeous. I'm talking skin, body, face, everything. And yes, this girl also inspired this hairstyle that I got on right now, because one thing that girl has is she's a trendsetter too. Same thing with Flo Milli. Flo Milli has had countless songs that went viral on TikTok. Countless songs. But she doesn't have the same mainstream success as Ice Spice, and her catalog is longer. She's been in the industry for longer. But, you know, Ice Spice came out with Munch, and as soon as she came out with that, it was like instant mainstream success for her. So, you know, it's very prominent in this industry, and it's because the black community, they respond better to light-skinned girls with fat asses, even if they're not talented. Light-skinned girls in the rap industry, all you gotta do is be light-skinned and pretty. You don't even have to be good at rapping, and the black community will accept you. But if you're a dark-skinned girl, you have to be talented. You have to be amazingly beautiful. You have to benefit from featureism. Like, if you don't have everything, you won't make it. And when we talk about colorism, we're not taking any credit away from them. We're not blaming them, and we're not saying that it's like their fault. We're just saying that their path towards success is going to be easier compared to their dark-skinned counterparts due to colorism. So when we say like, oh, for example, Zendaya, she benefits from colorism, we're not saying that it's Zendaya's fault that she benefits from colorism. She didn't make colorism. She didn't make the issue. She was born into the issue. You know what I'm saying? And it's not in her control that she's a light-skinned person. But at the end of the day, it's okay for us to acknowledge that she does have light-skinned privilege. The same way white people have white privilege, and we're not blaming the white people who have white privilege, because the white local girl in your town who's like 14 years old didn't create racism. That was an issue that was created centuries ago. It's not her fault that the issue exists, but she was born into the issue. But it is important for us to acknowledge that she has white privilege. So that's the same thing when it comes to colorism. It's just acknowledging your privilege, because it's very key in pushing those conversations further when we do talk about colorism. And like, even with the men, the male rappers, they perpetuate so much colorism in their music. Like, boy, bye. They're always talking about how they love their yellow bones and all this stuff. Like, they always talking about how they don't want no black bitch. I remember Kodak Black. Yeah. Like, no, baby.
Boy, bye.
So we're going to play this clip of Kodak Black. we might have to sip my drink for this one. All right.
So I gotta ask, whatever it's like, you like black, you said you like black girls, but you said it's just like,
I answered this question earlier, you know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have a need to simplify it again, but I'm gonna simplify it again.
Okay,
you know, I carry myself like I'm an average dude, because I don't see myself no better than him, you know, or no less than him. So if he could say that he likes skinny women, if he prefers skinny women more than a more chubby or heavyset women, he could say that and nobody won't get mad at him. I just said I don't like women with my complexion. I like light-skinned women.
Pause. I'm gonna pause the video real quick, because do you see the guy in the back? The guy in the back, he is looking at Kodak like, nigga, you better shut the fuck up. You sound stupid as shit. What the fuck are you saying right now? Do you see him in the back? He like, but let's continue.
Women, I want you to be lighter than me. I love African American women, but I just don't like my skin complexion. We too gutter. Black people, my complexion, we too gutter. Light skinned women, they more sensitive, you know.
There's some dark skinned women out here sensitive.
No, they too tough.
So that's how they talk about us, y'all. But that's how these black men and these male rappers talk about us. They say that we're aggressive, that we're hard and we're tough. And they say that light-skinned women are soft and more feminine and easier to break down. which what they're trying to say is easier to control and easier to manipulate, which is like, as a light-skinned woman, you should not take that as a compliment. That's what black men say about white women that they date. So as a light-skinned girl, you should not even be turned on by a colorist black man who says he prefers you over dark-skinned women because you're soft and feminine and easier to break down. You should not take that as a compliment at all. What he's trying to say is he likes you because he thinks you're about to be his pet. He thinks you're about to just take orders from him and be easy to manipulate. That is not something you should take as a compliment. But that's how they talk about us, y'all. That's how they talk about us. That's how these male rappers talk about us. They love their yellow bones because they're beautiful. They're their preference and they're feminine and soft and beautiful. They hate dark-skinned women because we're too hard and we're too tough and we're too aggressive and we're ugly and we're masculine and we're loud and we're ratchet and we're ghetto, right? Which is far from the truth, because I'm sorry, I'm a dark-skinned woman and I am far from ghetto. I am far from ratchet. I am the classiest bitch you'll ever fucking meet, okay? And I am far from any stereotypes y'all got about dark-skinned women. I'm far from it. And a lot of dark-skinned women, we're not ghetto or ratchet or hard or tough. We're actually, like, a lot of us are feminine and soft and very beautiful. So it's like, it's very far from the truth when people say stuff like that. I'm just looking at them like, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, get out of my face. Get out of my face. You know what's funny? It's always the black men that you didn't want in the first place who are saying shit like, oh, well, you know, you're too dark for me, or, you know, I don't do dark-skinned girls. Y'all too hard. Y'all too aggressive. Like, the amount of times that I have been minding my own business and I've had some random ass black man just tell me like, oh, you're too dark for me, or, you know, I don't really do dark-skinned girls like you because you a little too dark and y'all too aggressive and hard. And I'm like, baby, you don't have a car, you don't have a house, you don't have a degree, you was not an option anyways. You're broke and you're dusty. I didn't want your ass anyways. Like, you don't fit my standards at all. Who the fuck wanted your ass? Nobody. So it's like, why the fuck? And it be the ones who are darker than you. It be the ones whose grandma is dark skinned, they mama dark skinned, they sister dark skinned, they auntie dark skinned, and they over here telling you that they can't date you because you're dark skinned. Baby, we didn't want you. You was not an option anyways with your broke ass. Go find you a job. Go get you a car note. Go get you a house. Go clean your shoes. Go brush your teeth. Go line up your hair. The fuck? So please get the fuck out of my face and stop fucking talking to me before I slap the shit out of you. Thank you. One thing about me, I got standards. If you don't got a car and if you don't own a house, baby, we're not even having a conversation. We're not talking. Period on period. And before y'all say like, oh, you got all these exceedingly high standards, and why is it that black women gotta have standards that are at bottom of the barrel? Why do we gotta accept men who don't got their shit together? A man who don't got his shit together shouldn't even be worried about fucking women or dating. He should be worrying about getting his shit together. And one thing about me, baby, I'm 20 years old. I'm graduating college 2 years early with my bachelor's degree in business. And by the time I'm like 23, I'm going to own my own home. And I have my own car right now that I bought full out, like paid off. Okay. So one thing about me, this girl going to have some high standards. And do you see what I look like? You think I'm about to be rolling around with somebody's broke, dusty ass son? Fuck out of here with that shit. But anyways, I've even heard dark-skinned men say that they don't want dark-skinned babies. And I've heard black women say that too. I'm going to play a clip for y'all. But this guy was being interviewed by DJ Vlad, and you can hear in like DJ Vlad's voice and his questions that he was very shocked by this dark-skinned man saying that he doesn't want to date a dark-skinned girl because he doesn't want to have dark-skinned kids. Like, DJ Vlad is a white guy, so like people in his community don't do this. Like, the only people who do this is the black community. People in our community, they are so comfortable with saying like, I don't want dark-skinned kids and call it a personal. It's because media has a huge impact on people's lives, and the music you listen to has a huge impact on people's lives, and the people you look up to also has a huge impact on your life. So when you're listening to rap music that talks about yellow bones being the best, and when you listen to rappers say that they love light-skinned women and they don't like dark-skinned women, a lot of black men end up just taking after that. And even if their moms don't really teach them that at home, at the end of the day, because they're surrounding themselves by media that speaks about that stuff, that's what they end up taking after. And that's how they end up acting, which is sad and pathetic. But I also realized that when it comes to colorism, the media responds to dark-skinned women in a negative way compared to light-skinned women when it comes to them doing the same thing. For example, I don't know if y'all remember when Serena Williams went to the grocery store and she had on this gray dress and her hair was out in an afro. And everybody was making memes about this woman. They were coming for her, saying she looked ghetto, she looked ratchet, who let her out the house looking like that, when she didn't even look that bad. She just looked like a normal woman going to the grocery store. I know a lot of y'all don't go to the grocery store with a Chanel bag and a Fashion Nova outfit and your hair done and your makeup done. Sometimes when you go to the grocery store, you're going to be in your pajamas or your housewear and your hair is going to be messed up. She's a human. Just because she's a celebrity, that doesn't mean that everywhere she goes, she has to look perfect. But I noticed that when Cardi B went to the grocery store and she had a head wrap on and a tank top, people were like, oh my God, I love Cardi B. She's so relatable. So how come when Serena Williams went to the grocery store and she didn't look at her best, people were coming for her and making memes out of her? But when Cardi B went to the grocery store with a head wrap on and her PJs, she's relatable and funny. But in my opinion, I thought Serena's outfit looked a lot better than Cardi B's outfit. Cardi B looked like she just rolled out of bed. Serena Williams, she just looked like she was in the house cleaning and then she just left to go get groceries. Like, she still had on her dress, she still had on her hair, and it was still like, it was in an afro, but you know, she still like was dressed. Cardi B was in a whole head wrap and everything, and that was a worse outfit for me, and y'all were still coming for her and saying that Serena looked horrible, but then Cardi B was relatable and funny. And y'all know how I feel about Cardi B, okay? We that will be one episode of its own when we get into Cardi B, but I do call myself Barbie 2.0, so you already know what side I'm on. Barbs for life, okay? Nikki this, Nikki that, okay? But no, literally. And it's not even about Nikki with my dislike to Cardi B. It's way more than that, but that's an episode of its own. And like, there's even people like, no offense, like Krishan Rock. That girl is literally like the stereotype of a black woman to the max. And she gets so much media coverage. And at one point, people were calling her relatable and funny. And it was not. It was ghetto. It was inappropriate. And it was ratchet as fuck. And if she was a dark-skinned girl doing the same thing, y'all would have labeled her the stereotype and would have canceled her. And you wouldn't give her that much attention. As simple as that. Even with Cardi B. Cardi B is not a black woman. However, I will say she's a light-skinned woman. And that woman literally portrays the stereotype of a black woman. Y'all love her for being relatable and funny, but I promise you, if she was a dark-skinned girl, y'all would not give her no attention at all. Suki is pretty much like a Cardi B. At one point in Cardi B's career, before she went on Love and Hip Hop, she was behaving just like Suki. And you can see the difference in their careers. And Suki raps, and she's not bad at rapping either. And I would say, like, they behave the same way. Cardi B definitely cleaned up her image over the years after the Grammys and stuff. But around the time before she was on Love and Hip Hop, she was very ghetto and ratchet. Very ghetto and ratchet. And she went viral for it. And y'all loved her for being relatable and funny. And she got a huge career off of it, off of literally pretending to be the stereotype of a black woman. But you see, light-skinned women, they can get attention and they can get praise for doing that. But dark-skinned women will just get labeled as the stereotype, will get canceled, and no one's going to give us any type of attention. And people are just going to bash us and call us ghetto and ratchet. That's why y'all always call Suki ghetto and ratchet all the time. And do you think her career is at the height that Cardi B's career is at in terms of rapping? It's not. And for Suki to have the same height of success that Cardi B has, Suki would have to be an amazing rapper, like on Nicki Minaj's level rapper, for her to even get the same amount of success that Cardi B has. And that's how it is for dark-skinned women in the industry. We have to be exceedingly beautiful. Most of the time we have to benefit from featureism, and we have to be super, super talented, like crazy talented, for us to even just get a little bit recognition. If we're anything of mediocre, we're not getting no type of attention, no type of press, no type of positive feedback. Period. Y'all can't say colorism isn't real when there's people like Chris Brown who literally kicks girls out of his section for being dark skinned. Like, when I say the name Chris Brown, all dark skinned women should already know what's up. We should already know what's up. We should already know what's up. That man still got a career. That man is making millions and he's doing well. And yes, he does get bashed a lot. I'm going to admit he does get bashed a lot. But he is still making a lot of money and making a lot of music. Y'all ain't cancel that man. Y'all did not cancel that man. Y'all fake canceled Chris Brown, if we want to talk about it, okay? Y'all fake canceled him because y'all get mad when certain artists work with him. And you know what I noticed? Like, y'all are colorists with that too. Like, I remember when Normani worked with Chris Brown, she didn't even make a song with him. She was literally just in his music video, and all of y'all were bashing her and saying like, oh my God, why would you be in this music video? Like, he's literally colorist and you're dark skinned. Like, what the fuck? But it's like, y'all don't say the same stuff for light skinned girls who work with Chris Brown. Ella Mai has numerous songs with him. Numerous songs. Jenny Aiko had a song with him as well. Rihanna, the girl he abused, she had a song with him after the abuse. Zendaya had a song with him as well. Y'all did not say shit when these light-skinned women worked with him on songs. But when Normani was in a music video as literally a dancer and that's it, y'all came for her. And it's like, why do you guys expect dark-skinned women to fight so hard for colorism to the point where we can't even work with colorists, but light-skinned women don't get the same expectations? And I agree, a dark-skinned woman should not be working with a colorist at all. But why do you only put that expectation on dark-skinned women and not light-skinned women? If we all are the black community and we're all supposed to stick together, doesn't that mean that light-skinned women are also supposed to stand for colorism too? Doesn't that mean that light-skinned women shouldn't be working with colorists as well? I do want to talk about reverse colorism. First of all, reverse colorism is a myth, okay? I know so many people who bring up the fact that they were bullied for being light-skinned by dark-skinned girls. Cough, cough, Queen Naija.
Girl, the shade of it all.
But every time we talk about colorism, there's always a light-skinned woman who will stand up and say, oh, well, I was bullied for being light-skinned by dark-skinned girls because they were jealous of me and they didn't like that I was light-skinned and all this stuff. And they will say, like, that's reverse colorism. It's not. That is prejudice. You have to understand that colorism is a form of oppression that benefits people who are closer to a whiter skin tone. So as a light-skinned person, you will never be able to experience colorism. The most you will be able to experience is racism and prejudice. The same way with a white person, they will never be able to experience racism from a systemic standpoint because racism benefits the white race. But they would be able to experience prejudice. So if me as a black person started bullying a white person for being white, that would be prejudice, but that would not be racism. And it's the same way as if a dark-skinned girl started bullying a light-skinned girl for being light-skinned, that would not be colorism. That would be prejudice. And I think it's very inappropriate for light-skinned women to bring that up when we are talking about colorism, because you're taking away attention from dark-skinned girls who actually do experience colorism from a systemic standpoint. Can you imagine if we were in a room full of white people and black people and we were talking about racism and police brutality, and a white person just came out of nowhere and stopped the whole room from talking so they could say, well, you know, I experienced racism because I went to an all-black school and a lot of the black kids used to bully me because I was white and they didn't like that I had white privilege. Do you know how many black people would literally have an uproar and throw a tantrum and tell that white person to shut up? Because it's not the right time, right? If we're talking about racism from a systemic standpoint, it's not the right time for a white person to come out of nowhere and say that they experience racism because black people bullied them in school for being white. You would tell them that's not racism, that's prejudice. And you would tell them that this is not the time, because right now you're taking away attention from black people who actually do experience racism. So when we talk about colorism and light-skinned women say, oh, I was bullied in school for being light-skinned, and dark-skinned girls used to bully me all the time because they were jealous of my light skin and my light skin privilege. Please understand that it's totally inappropriate to bring that up, because you're taking away attention from dark-skinned people who actually do experience colorism from a systemic standpoint. And what you are experiencing is prejudice. And we're not saying that your experience is invalid or that we shouldn't talk about your experience, because at the end of the day, it's still causing division within our community, and it's definitely a conversation we should have. But at the end of the day, there is a time and a place for everything. And talking about how you experience prejudice in school and being bullied for being light-skinned does not equate to the systemic oppression that dark-skinned women or dark-skinned men face from colorism. And it's not cool. It's not okay. It's selfish, and it's not the time or the place. So you know what else I've noticed? That with the black community especially, you kind of have to dumb it down to racism for people to understand colorism. Every time I make videos about colorism, I always hear people say, oh, well, they're successful dark skin. And by the way, you guys bring up the same girls every single time, and you can literally count them on your fingers. You guys always say Ryan Destiny, Kelly Rowland, Viola Davis, and Lupita. And you always bring them up when, first of all those dark skinned girls are from different generations. Okay, do you think that it's normal to have 2 successful dark-skinned girls in every single generation? That is not normal. That is exceedingly low. That is why we talk about colorism and say it's a big issue, because that's not enough girls. And you guys think that it's enough girls when it's not. We can name a good number of black people who are successful in every single generation. But when it comes to dark-skinned women who are mainstream and very successful in the forefront of media, y'all only bring up like 3 in each generation. And it's like, y'all don't see how that's a low number? But I've noticed that every time we do talk about colorism, people are always like, oh, well, they're successful dark skins. Okay, so how would y'all feel if you were talking about racism and somebody was like, well, racism doesn't exist because there's successful black people out here. There's people like Will Smith and Denzel Washington and Barack Obama, so racism can't exist. Do you know how many people in the black community would throw a tantrum and have an uproar? Y'all would go crazy. But when it comes to colorism, it's okay for you to say things like that. When we say colorism exists, we're not saying that it's impossible to be successful as a dark-skinned person. We're just saying your path is going to be harder compared to your light-skinned counterparts. Would you say that patriarchy doesn't exist in America just because there's successful women out here? You wouldn't. But again, as a woman in this society, your path is going to be harder compared to men. And with racism, your path is going to be harder as a black person compared to white people. So when we talk about colorism, we're just saying our path is going to be harder compared to our light-skinned counterparts. So stop bringing up successful dark-skinned people every single time we talk about colorism, because that doesn't invalidate the issue. That doesn't make the issue not exist at all. That's just proving that you're not educated about the subject and you clearly want to be in denial about it. But I want to talk about light-skinned men and dark-skinned men when it comes to colorism. Now, systemically, I do think that light-skinned men do benefit from colorism and dark-skinned men don't benefit. However, I think socially, light-skinned men do get negative pushback from colorism. And here's why. When we think about light skin, they normally associate light skin with being very feminine and very soft. So when you are a straight black man and you're light skin, a lot of the times you get attacked on your masculinity, and your masculinity is very invalidated because people think that light-skinned men are very weak and very feminine and very soft. And that's honestly far from the truth. I dated a lot of light-skinned men in my time period of being on this earth. Like, I attract light-skinned men a lot. I will say, as a dark-skinned woman, I think a lot of dark-skinned women can relate to this. And I will say that a lot of them are not soft and feminine and what you guys think they are. A lot of them are masculine and normal men. They're not what you guys think or the stereotypes that you give them. And that's honestly not okay, because the main people who do perpetuate that are Black women. And one thing y'all gonna learn about me on my page, I love Black women, but I'm gonna hold y'all accountable when it's time. When it's time, I'm gonna hold y'all accountable. I'm gonna be like your older sister that's yelling at you, trying to teach you a lesson about something, but I want the best for you, okay? And I don't want Black women to look like hypocrites, especially dark-skinned women. And I've noticed that, you know, Black women and sometimes dark-skinned women do perpetuate that narrative towards light-skinned men. And they'll say like, oh, I don't want to date a light-skinned man because like he's way too soft and he's too feminine and he's weak, and I need a dark-skinned man because they're masculine and they're hard. And I'm like, you're literally a dark-skinned woman. You know what colorism feels like. So why are you perpetuating the same colorist narratives onto light-skinned men? Now no one's going to take us seriously when we talk about colorism because you're perpetuating that onto light-skinned men. Let's stop saying that light-skinned men are soft and feminine and weak, because that is far from the truth, okay? One thing about me, baby girl, I don't have my run-in with light-skinned men, and I will say this. They are masculine, and a lot of them know exactly what they are doing in the bedroom. Okay, like, and they, whew, child, don't make me hot, but Lord have mercy.
Hi, Papi, you're making me hot.
But I am done with this episode. But I had so much fun talking with you guys, and this was amazing. And I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of the Barbie Life 2.0 podcast. I'm really happy that I could finally start this because, you know, I've been so busy with school and everything that I didn't have time, but I'm super happy that I was finally able to start this. And don't worry, guys, like, I am going to be here for a long time, and we are going to be talking about this forever until the issue is resolved. And I'm super excited for this journey with you guys, and I appreciate the support so much. Like, this is my first video, and you guys had me at about 3K subscribers on YouTube already. And there are people who are on YouTube for years and can't even get like close to 1,000 subscribers. So the fact that like I didn't even post anything yet and I was at about 3K subscribers already, I just love you guys so much for supporting me and having faith in this podcast. And I promise you, I will not disappoint. You will feel seen and you will feel heard by me. I will address the things that a lot of people are scared to face, and I will tell truths that a lot of people are scared to talk about. And we are going to shake the room, and we will make a lot of people mad, but thankfully I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. I'm still beautiful, I'm still educated, and I'm still paid. So, and I am going to do my best to be the voice for dark-skinned women. So I love you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And lastly, before I leave, I just want to show you my fit. I just want to show you my fit because I was giving today, but outfit is from Fashion Nova. I know. Double denim today. Model, y'all, like, hold up. What do they say? Presenting Naomi Campbell's daughter.
Because I slay all day.
I love you guys. Bye. Beso.